So to start with, I thought I'd go with the putting putters. I bag 3 lengths. I have 2 exo soft ones, 1 exo hard. I use the exo hard, it's quite beat up. So I use this for jump putts. It's a bit straighter, out to about 25 meters. And then this is my primary putting putter. And then this is just like a backup, or sometimes I'm trying to throw it a little bit so I can beat it in and have the similar stability to this one, so I can have 2 identical ones. So those are my putting putters. Next up, we have approach and driving. I guess you call it putter. They're 4 speeds, but I have 2 tactics. One is the Razor Claw 2. It's a nice vapor plastic tactic, quite overstable. I use this on forehand and backhand to fight the wind. And one that I use a little bit more, this is the exo soft one. This is a bit straighter. I can still throw it hard and rely on it in the wind, and it goes a bit further, forehand and backhand. Next up, mid-ranges. Start off with, I have a C-Line MD. This is, especially if I'm throwing like downhill or just kind of straight shots in general. So it's kind of a little bit like a longer throwing putter. It goes really straight, or it's like a little bit of Anheuser, just like on the hole behind me. Just have it turn, and I'll land right by the basket, hopefully. Okay. Next up, I have 2 C-Line MD3s. I've got one of the old originals ones. This one's really flippy, so I can throw it flat and trust that it's going to turn over. So I don't have to throw it on Anheuser like the other one to get it to go to the right. I can just throw it nice and hard and flat and get that solid, dependable turn out of it. And then the other one is one of the new Italian blend C-Line ones. This is really straight. I can just throw it hard and straight, and I know that it's going to go straight and very far. So this one's really nice. And then last but not least, I got a Mutant. This is just a wind fighting meat hook. I can throw this in any wind. In fact, most headwinds I'll actually throw it on an Anheuser, because if I don't, then it won't go far enough. So you can throw an Anheuser in a headwind and it'll still fight out. It's got very little glide. It's got so much fade. Very, very dependable. Big fade and skip at the end. Feels really nice in the hand. Forehand and backhand. Wind fighting and some flick shots and tricky, like sort of utility shots through the woods and stuff like that, but mainly just wind fighting. Okay, so next up we got Fairway drivers. These are the ones I'm bagging today. So first up, I have an Active Premium Genius. I use this for rollers, and that's it. It works really well for rollers though, especially ones where I need it to turn over with a low ceiling. I need it to turn over and get to the ground quick. Yeah, so that's what I use that for. Next up, I've got a Royal Rage 2, which is a Vapor Instinct. This one's a little bit beat up. It has lots of turn, and then it fades back nicely, so it can handle a lot of power, and it drifts over to the right a lot, but it still comes back. I use this mainly for backhands, but I'll use this for forehands as well. You can also throw like hyzer clips a little bit. It's just really workable fairway driver. And lastly, I have a Neo Essence. This is what I use for rollers that I want to go a little bit further than the Genius, and I'll also use it for like some touchy forehands, like forehand turnovers, and sort of like flat with a little bit of drift to the left, and then come back. And I'll also use this for some backhand turnovers. It's really flippy, so you can actually start on hyzer and have it flip up all the way and drift to the right. And it's got lots of glide, so this is a really good beginner disc, or if you're a little bit more experienced, you can work it for a lot of different shot shapes. Lastly, distance drivers. First off, I've got a tilt. That pretty much says it all. It tilts, that you throw it as hard as you want and it goes nyeh. I can throw this really, really hard and it'll go like maybe 60 meters if I'm lucky. This is great though for like sky hyzers where I've got a bush or something on my right that's quite tall, so I can't go like a hyzer out and around it, and I can just throw this and have it go straight up and straight down for those high hyzer shots. And that's about all I use it for. Also like trick shots and just fun in the field. So that's just mainly for a bit of fun, but it's useful every once in a while for some utility shots. Next up, I have a Dark Maul 2. This is a Color Glow C-Line PD. This just goes really straight. It can handle a lot of torque. and power, and it gets a little bit of turn and a little bit of fade, and goes, I don't know, almost up to 400 feet, about 120 meters. So pretty much just straight. That's kind of a rare thing to find a distance driver. Normally have a lot of turn or fade, but this one just goes straight. So next up, I have two PD3s. These are my favorite discs in the bag. They're just so versatile. This one's a little bit more beat up, and this one's pretty new, pretty overstable still. I can throw them straight and have a fade. I can throw like hyzer bombs with it, flicks forehands, flicks backhands. They go quite far, nearly about 320 meters, and it just really just does whatever I want it to do. I throw the disc, I pick my line, I throw the disc, and it just does that. So really versatile and does what I want it to do every time. Really dependable. Next up, I only have one DD3 in the bag at the moment. I would love to have more, but they're kind of hard to get a hold of. This is my max distance backhand and forehand bomber disc. If I throw a backhand, I'll pop in a little bit of hyzer, have it flip up, maybe turn a little bit and come back. So nice and dependable. Gets a big distance, or if I want to go for like a maximum distance shot, I'll throw it up a little bit of ante, up nice and high off the left, and have a big S-curve for max distance. Yeah, just really great distance driver all around. Goes far, pretty dependable. That's my furthest flying distance bag. Lastly, I have a C-Line PD2. This is really similar to that DD3. It just doesn't go quite as far, and it's a little bit more dependable in the wind, or with a little bit more fade. I won't really throw this one on forehands because it's a little bit too overstable, because I have a little bit of a weaker forehand, but for backhands, this goes really far, straight, and then fades nicely at the end. Not too much glide, so it's really reliable in the wind still. I really love this plastic. It's almost like it's got an inbuilt grip bag. It's kind of like chalky. So it gets really good grip, even despite being what's typically a bit more of a slippery plastic. This is really grippy. That was my 2021 in the bag. Thank you guys very much for watching. You may have noticed like a couple of gaps in there, and that's because my bag changes a little bit, because I'm trying to find the perfect combo of discs so I can play the best I can. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next year.